My name is John Thomas Warren. I'm interviewing my grandpa, Corky Fleming, about Hurricane David and his experiences during the storm. Thank you for letting me interview.
Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. How many times have you been in a hurricane?
As a young child, I remember 2 or 3 different hurricanes passing by Savannah, none of them being a direct hit, but I remember being at home with my mother and dad and family and grandparents and what have you. After I was married in '79, Hurricane David came through and was a direct hit, and we were able to sustain through that.
So, during the storm, what did you do? Did you leave Savannah? I know you had a boat and you worked with a boat a lot.
At that time, I was working as a mate on a 46-foot Bertram with my father-in-law, and we were working over at Harbortown in Hilton Head, and we felt that we needed to try and protect the equipment and take the boat away from the dock, figuring that if it was a direct hit that we would probably end up with a lot of damage to the boat around the docks and all the other boats. So we decided to take it out and ride out the storm.
So, most people go inland. Nowadays, do you go inland during storms?
We decided to go up into a river that had a deep hole in it and try to find a bluff that could possibly shed the hurricane off of us as much as possible. And we were hoping to be on the lee side of the winds from the hurricane. But as it turned out, Hurricane David took a sudden turn and came in just below Savannah, and consequently we were in the blunt of the wind, but was able to be in front of the bluff, and there seemed to have been a pillow or something that sort of kept much of that wind down as much as possible, but we still had quite a blow.
So, what did you do during the storm while you were...
Well, during the storm, my father-in-law and myself were the only 2 on the boat. We took and found the biggest anchor we could find, and we used it and put it out, gave it a lot of scope, that is, line out to the anchor where it goes basically flat as opposed to being a straight up and down. This would give you a lot more holding power on the anchor. During the approach of the storm, we sat down there and waited on what we needed to do and try to figure out the best way to ride it out. We decided the best thing to do was to use the engines to try to keep as much strain off the anchor line as possible, and to try and keep from either pulling the anchor or popping the rope to the anchor. So as the storm hit us and we were riding through it, we took turns sitting up there working the clutches and the engines in forward and reverse in order to keep the strain off of the anchor rope, but yet keep things as tight as we possibly could.
So what did you do when you were not on with working the engine to make sure you didn't put too much stress on the anchor?
Well, first thing we did was take down any of the isinglass, which is a clear glass that you usually see around the bridge and all on the boat. So we have cut out all the wind resistance that we possibly could, and we secure those down below. And then we sat up there at the wheel with the engines running and worked the clutches to put one in gear and ease up on the anchor and take it out, and then put the other one in gear and go up on the anchor a little bit. But you didn't want to overrun it, so you had to sit there, and we were just working it back and forth. The rain coming down felt like needles sticking into you, and the wind was howling through there. While my father-in-law was on the wheel and I was trying to catch a little sleep, we were rocking bad enough that I almost got seasick laying down over there. But everything seemed to work out, and when morning came, we were glad to see the sunrise.
So, given your age now, you were 32 when this happened. You're 64 right now?
65.
65. Would you go inland or do what you did when Hurricane David did?
Given circumstances now, at my age, I think I would take the safety and go inland towards Atlanta or somewhere and find some friends and stay with them.
What advice would you give to people that are thinking about, like, it's their first storm on the coast? They don't know what to do. What advice would you give them?
Well, I think you need to listen to the advice mostly of the people that are watching the storm and to what is being done. Not too long ago, we had Hurricane Floyd come by, and they called for an evacuation of Savannah. At that time, we went up to Atlanta area and stayed with some friends. So happens that Floyd stayed offshore and went in up towards Charleston somewhere. But I would strongly suggest you follow the advice that are given over your broadcast from SEMA and what have you.
So, even if it's not a hurricane, if it's a severe thunderstorm or tornado, do you normally do?
I usually try to find a dry place and stay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Appreciate it.